Welcome and thank you, viewing audience, for joining us for another dynamic episode of Bilalian Voices in the Tradition of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. This is episode number 56, and today's date is December 4th, 2025. And our special guest for today is Professor Wali Shabazz. We begin by greeting as we Muslims greet each other. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I am your host today. My name is Terenzo El-Amin, Imam and business owner of El-Amin Priority Distributors.com, the maker of the beautiful Bilalian apparel, and also distributor of both of Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed's books. I'm joined today with my co-host, Imam Hanif Abdul Wahid out of Rochester, New York. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Good to see you, brother.
Likewise, good to be back. Before we get into our episode with Professor Wali Shabazz, we'd like to make some announcements regarding the leadership of Muslim American leader, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. Join us this Sunday for our first Sunday address in the tradition of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, with address coming from his partner and successor, Muslim American leader, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. on his YouTube channel entitled EAM Speaks. The theme for this address is researching our faith and supporting business life in our community. This is this Sunday, December 7th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern on his YouTube channel, EAM Speaks. Also, we have coming up on February the 15th, 2026, in the historic city of Detroit, Michigan, where it began for a people, this understanding, Savior's Day observance will take place on Sunday, February the 15th, 2026, at the distinguished venue of the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. For more information on this free public event, a march up to 100 years of Muslim American life, Muslim African American life, and leadership excellence, you can go to SaveYoursDay.com to get more information on our upcoming annual event to take place in Detroit, Michigan on Sunday, February the 15th, 2026 at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. Now, what we would like to do is get into our discussion today with our Professor Wali Shabazz. And what we would like to do first is we would like to share with our viewing audience a very potent clip coming from Muslim American leader Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed as he addressed the subject matter of leadership, and in particular, does the African American Muslim tradition need to be revived? He addresses this, and we'll speak on the other side of this clip. The clip is like 17 minutes long, so I ask that you stay with us. This will give you a clear understanding of what we intend to address today on Bilalian Voices with Professor Wali Shabazz.
Now, I saw recently a reference to African American Muslim identity and African American Muslim leadership as in need of a revival. And the implication was, the suggestion was that the African American Muslim people are without leadership and without understanding, or that there's a disconnect. There is something missing, and it is in need of attention. And the person who made reference to this said revival. The person who's suggesting this I don't know his motivations, but I can say definitively that he's in error. And as we go on today with this presentation, I don't want it to be misunderstood that I'm only addressing this person, but I'm addressing this influence. Because this influence doesn't come from within an honest assessment of who we are. This influence comes from outside. It comes from an effort to weaken us and to weaken by processes our understanding of our role and what is meant by the teaching of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, that we are a new people. The person who's advancing this idea is himself a victim of this influence. And he is himself a victim of the plantation burden on the spirit of the African American people to disqualify their own purpose and intelligence, to disqualify it. I am coming from a particular discipline in Islam, a particular movement that is straight from Muhammad the Prophet's role as a representative and leader for mankind, as God intended human life to be established in society. I am coming from that discipline as taught by Imam W. Deen Mohammed. This movement in the spirit, in the psyche, in the intelligence, has shaped every expression coming from the African American people in Islam, whether those people accept it or not. Were it not for the Honorable Elijah Mohammed and his work to put the African American people in a new clothing, as this is his explanation, this is his, these are his words, to put his people in a new clothing. Were it not for the efforts and the blessed leadership of the Honorable Elijah Mohammed. And I don't know that everyone can appreciate that. Then maybe they don't understand it, and they would have to engage me to get a better appreciation of what I mean by blessed. But were it not for his blessed leadership to foster a new appreciation for human worth in the African American people by way of Islamic identity. The intent and the activity of what was then called the Temples of Islam or the Nation of Islam, that ultimately produced the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. Were it not for that process, the African American people would have no independent presence in the expressions of Islamic knowledge and discipline. If you look at just the picture of African American Muslims that for some reason or other have distanced themselves from the teaching of Imam W. Deen Mohammed or the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, to look at them just physically would suggest to you that they're belonging to another people. Just their physical presence, how they represent themselves physically, look like they're copying someone else. That they're not certain of their own importance in Islamic identity without associating themselves in cultural interpretation of Islamic life with another people. That they're not comfortable having newness or independence. That is apparent. And if the Honorable Elijah Mohammed suggested that he was putting his people in a new clothing, then that would suggest, according to Islamic teaching, a new mind. The Quran references clothing. The Quran references the clothing of our first father. And the Quran says that the best clothing is what? Taqwa. Taqwa. Consciousness, awareness, regardfulness of God, regardfulness of God's purpose for your life. If the Muslim world is in confusion about where the emphasis should be for the destiny of human life, then the notion that God, the teaching that God is merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer, Ar-Rahim, that he is a merciful redeemer, that there is redemption in the spirit and thinking of man to come to correct understanding, that in the processes of God's mercy, he brings this into existence. Then if a people are associated with reformation in the world, renewal in the world, if their sensitivities support that movement in their psyche, they know themselves, even if they don't have faith, even if they don't have the discipline of Islam teaching on their tongues or in their mind, they sense that they have some important role. Then it would follow that in the time of necessity, that their presentation would be unique, special, representing something essential as a restoration for human life on the earth. So even in their appearance, they would appear new. This person that suggests to us, and that's what they intended to do. They were intending to suggest to us, representing us, that our thinking needs revival. Our thinking. He wasn't referring to the position of the African American people who have been influenced by Islam and Islamic identity in the path that produced the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed as having a central importance. He was suggesting that what exists that is associated with Imam W. Deen Mohammed is in need of overturning. In favor of something that looks like what is present in the Muslim world right now. That's what he was suggesting. Now, if he gets this, he might disagree with what I'm saying to you right now, because what he has been influenced by has been exposed by what I'm presenting to you right now. In fact, our community is not without leadership. We have leadership. And the leadership that we have said and emphasized that it is a continuity, a continuation, and we have used the language succession of Imam W. D. Muhammad's teaching. Imam W. D. Muhammad's teaching is not in need of renewal or revival. It has been represented. It has been represented continually. And he provided for it. I know what they said, that he rejected the formality of organization and that there's no organizational succession because he didn't name a successor. But from the necessity in the spirit of our people to continue in that work and to continue in that thinking and to continue in that emphasis and to continue to evolve upon that knowledge body, that particular tongue, that particular dress, that particular interest, that particular language, that particular reasoning, that is a necessity in the soul of our people that have been shaped in this way, that it continue, that it has no necessity for revival. It is revival. It is in its sacred determinations, revival in the tradition of Muhammad himself, that says when the life becomes dead to purpose, that this signals the time for renewal. Imam W. Deen Mohammed's teaching is revival, is renewal, is reformation. You all, if you can appreciate what I'm saying, I don't know that you can appreciate what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe some of you, I hope the majority who are with me here today can appreciate it. But I don't know. Only Allah knows. But if you can appreciate it, it's in your spirit to support what I'm saying. It's in your spirit to support my leadership in this context. If I deviate from this, there's no justification for your support of me. None. It's in your interest, in your own private recognitions of the sacred importance of Imam W. Deen Mohammed's leadership, that invites you and obligates you to support what I'm doing. That you are having a share in that responsibility, and you see the necessity of it. That you sense the importance of it in the present world. And I'm telling you that as the months, the days and the weeks and the months continue, and I'm talking about in near future, you'll see and appreciate even more the importance of what I'm suggesting to you. That we have something essential. And the enemy of man on this earth wants us to doubt it.
That is a very powerful clip, Professor Shabazz. The Imam stated very clearly, and there was a couple of things that stood out for me in saying that this person that is influenced by outside influences is making the case that Imam W. Deen Mohammed's leadership is not important in this day and time, and that we should look beyond it, and that it came at a certain time and it's done and it's gone away. I mean, this is what I can gather from this here. So I wanted to ask you, give us some comments to your understanding of what this person is trying to articulate, and what the Imam is saying in terms of this outside influence that has influenced that type of thinking.
I'd like to begin with there's a spirit of rebellion, my brother. In the name of Allah, there's a spirit of rebellion bred into, I'm gonna use language here, the American Negro. And that spirit of rebellion is what the Imam addressed as the ghost of the plantation. Most of our people, including Muslim African American leadership, have not studied the peculiar institution of chattel slavery, where a whole group of people were traumatized for hundreds of years. They were emptied out in terms of a consciousness. The spirit of rebellion was bred in them, and in the 1830s, the job was considered complete, and that we would be considered less than the beast of the field, unquote. So if you are not a student of the psychology that was bred into us of the spirit of rebellion, you will not understand fully the importance of leadership. There's no people in God's creation that don't have leaders, brother. Even in the United Nations, he's called the Secretary General. Some call mufti, some call imam, some call president, some call prime minister. If you come from a people whose system that they psychologically lived under was designed to breed in them rebellion and rejection of leadership, then you must be super cautious and make extra rakah to Allah the Most High for guidance. It was the teachings of the lost found nation of Islam in the wilderness of North America that galvanized the spirit of Black consciousness in the so-called American Negro. Yes, you had the Back to Africa movement of Marcus Garvey, but it did not touch the psychology in the thinking of the people that made them behave in the manner that they behaved. It was a movement to pull us together and return to the quote unquote the motherland. It was the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Mohammed given to him by his teacher, Mr. Farad, that dealt with the psychological damage and the spirit of rebellion and the trauma and the double consciousness that was put in the thinking of the African American that caused him to be such a, as using the language of the Honorable Elijah Mohammed, stiff-necked, hard-hearted, and rebellious people, easy to lead in the wrong direction and hard to lead in the right. And who were the leaders of the African American community historically? It was the preacher class. The preacher class amongst this group were able to do what was necessary to keep the slave or the Negro in a state of spiritual confusion.
But Professor, I just want to go back to what Imam Abdulmalik was saying here, is that this outside influence,
okay,
that has come into our community,
yes,
and has told us to denounce leader and leadership and uphold teachers. This is what is happening in the African American community, is that we have all of these teachers or these type of teachings that come in and enter, and it's all a ploy to take us away from the leadership and the new mind that had been developed for us by Imam W. Deen Mohammed, and that we're now succeeding. And so this person that the Imam is talking about, he's allowed the outside influence to basically come in. And so now what he is saying is that we need to scrap everything and we need a whole new type of leadership based upon their teaching and their understanding.
I wanted to set it up, brother. before we address what currently is going on. And to understand what is currently going on, you've got to go back to the ghost of the plantation that is alive and sick in the leadership in our community. Look, man, for 33 years, the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. He taught for years. There were 4 Sunday presentations. Then there were first Sunday presentations. Then there are Ramadan sessions. And the book on the Ramadan sessions is 500 pages unto itself. With all of, there is a man who edits presentations by the Imam Ronald Shahid. He's written at least a dozen books. So you mean to tell me that just that amount of knowledge and information and insight is immaterial today? It's more relevant now than it was when the Imam spoke. The Imam W. Deen Mohammed was speaking to the future for our people, for the Muslim Ummah, for the world leadership. And it has unfolded and been manifest with Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, Imam W. Deen Mohammed's chief student and partner. So you mean to tell me that those 33 years where the Imam was teaching at least once a week, and those 500 pages of Ramadan sessions, and the 4th Sunday presentations, and the 1st Sunday presentations, and all of the banquets and university speeches and question and answer periods, we don't need anymore? The leadership is clear. Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, in the past 5 years, has made at least 25 public appearances, at least 190 classes every Sunday, at least 4 Ramadan sessions. And none of his critics ever address whether he is teaching out of the emphasis of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. His clarity and understanding of that teaching is clear. No one is critical of that. So historically, to be more direct in answering your question, beloved, since Emancipation Proclamation, everybody from outside of the African American community uses him for their own agenda. When the communists came into this country, they came into the Negro ghettos to influence us to become communists. The civil rights movement, the war in Vietnam, connected to the civil rights movement to deal with justice in America and the lie of the injustice of the killing of Vietnamese people. The women's liberation movement, Burn the Bra, connected with the African American in order to give support for women's rights. The women's suffrage movement, where the women were given the right to vote, what is that, the 23rd Amendment? Who were the major proponents in that? Sojourner Truth. So it's been a movement, our movement, of quest towards dignity, quest towards freedom, quest towards justice and equality for other people outside of us to come to us and aid us in their movement. Islam, Deen al-Islam, was rejected and vilified and subjugated in America. And through the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Mohammed, the name Muhammad became popular, the name Allah became popular, the name Islam became popular. Muhammad Ali rose to eminence and support from all kinds of people in America and around the world. And in 1975, the son of the Honorable Elijah Mohammed raised the Quran and the Deen al-Islam in America, and the doors open for truth, freedom, justice, and equality in this society. He did that single-handedly. So the Muslim world is embracing America now. The Muslim world is coming in. Their doctors are coming in and working in this society. They're raising their children and going to the best schools in America. They're benefiting from our role of opening the doors is our historic evolution in this society, allowing other people of ethnic stripe to come and benefit from the stripes on our back. And in the 33 years of Imam W. Deen Mohammed's leadership, the immigrant Muslim community gave tacit support for his leadership. They gave lip profession support for his leadership, but never anything tangible. They spend more money in Las Vegas and all that goes with that Imam Muhammad needed to do some good in our community with our people. One last point on this, brother. I don't hear any of these people addressing how Muslims, they go to the masjid every Jummah, selling shit in our community that they're not supposed to touch. Lottery tickets, pork, alcohol. And we make no comment, and they are in the African American community, coast to coast, making millions of dollars off of our people's ignorance, sending the money overseas. We don't even get hired in them stores. That needs to be addressed by our so-called leaders. So there is an influence that sees who we are and the impact, the social impact that we have in America, and use us for their agenda. Where's our agenda? All that Imam Muhammad left with us? You mean to tell me that's it? Then how come you, man, didn't take us out of the Nation of Islam? How come you, man, when Imam Muhammad was teaching, you were sitting in his class? And now you turn your back on your leader and say, we need what? No, brother, we need to get back into what we were left with. And that's the role of Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. Let me say something else on brotherhood. That man, I want this for the record. I'm going to show you brotherhood. Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed is my imam, and he's also my friend. And he's my Muslim brother. And I never left his side. When he got in trouble, I supported him because he didn't get in trouble on his own. When everybody vilified and turned their back on him, that's my brother. The same men that were lined up at the airport to kiss his ring when he got off the airplane, representing Imam Muhammad, turned their back on him. I didn't go nowhere. That's my brother. That's my man. I'm 20 years older than him, and he's my leader. Try that on for brotherhood, mister. We faking. We say out of our mouths what's not in our heart. Imam W. Deen Mohammed, in 1975, all the way through his leadership, there were men who were in the Nation of Islam that thought they knew more than him and left him, or men who didn't understand or like the direction that he was moving in, and they left him. He never skipped a beat. He continued to make progress. The biggest mass conversion in the history of Deen al-Islam took place in America. And you're going to walk away from that? You're going to say the black Muslims need to come together? They need to sit down and know our history and tell each other the truth and be brothers. You must first be brothers. Not act like who? He doesn't exist. Sit down with him if there's a problem. Get some clarity if there's a problem, because clearly he is the only man in the wilds of North America who is surgically applying the teachings of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. You're a Deeni. Whatever you want to call that, that's what I am. You can't go to China and tell the Mongolians from the Western Horde that they shouldn't be Muslims underneath their leadership. You can't go to Turkey and tell a Turk that they should not be Muslims under their Turkish leadership. You can't go to Bangladesh and tell a Bengali that he can't be Muslim underneath his leadership. The only one who argues that point is a nigger from the plantation, and that's what dwells in our heart and soul. You can give me all of your rationale if you want, but the spirit of rebellion was put in you on the plantation and is being manifested in 2025. What else you got for me, man?
Professor.
Yes, sir.
And listening to Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed in the clip that we just shared, and it was much that he shared within that clip on the attack or the irrelevancy of Imam W. Deen Mohammed's tradition, because the language was reviving the Muslim black tradition. And Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed said that in that clip that Imam W. Deen Mohammed's teaching, his influence is the revival.
That's right.
And what I wanted to ask you, he said something else in that clip. He said the blessed leadership of Elijah Muhammad, the blessed leadership of the Honorable Elijah Mohammed. And he went on to say that the Honorable Elijah Mohammed and his work put the African American in new clothing.
Yes,
and that also, without the Honorable Elijah Mohammed, African American Muslims would have no independent presence in Islamic knowledge and discipline. Could you speak to that? Because
yes, sir. When
I listen to the influence that Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed is addressing in this popular Imam, Rashad Abdul Rahman is who we're referring to. We want to make that clear. He is the one who is advancing this notion that we need to revive the tradition of Black Muslims, or the Black Muslim tradition needs to be revived. Could you speak to that in the blessed leadership of the Honorable Elijah Mohammed?
Okay. Let me make one statement to you, Brother Imam. In looking at the strategy of these so-called local Muslim American leaders who claim they are under the teaching of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. They claim that. But the reality is this. Their strategy is anybody but Abdul Malik. That's how they operate. Because if that was not the method of operation, they would clearly be consulting the wisest one amongst us who understands the teachings better than Imam Earl Abdulmalik. No one knows have a better understanding of Imam W. Deen Mohammed's understanding of the Quran and the direction and emphasis for our people. All people have an emphasis that they use to bring their people from one stage of development to another. All people have an emphasis. As an example, if the people in a East Indian environment who are polytheist, then the emphasis is in the Dawa is in monotheism. Or if you are in the Central African environment and you're a Muslim and they have a polytheistic mentality or belief system, then the Tawheed is the method of Dawah. When you dealing with an American Negro who has been totally robbed of the knowledge of who he is, you need a particular sensitivity to bring him out rationally and balance-wise as it relates to his environment and how he should perceive himself as a Muslim. But when you step out on your own and start addressing issues that are out of context for the need and development and progress, Allah clearly states that he ever evolves his creation. We are part of God's creation, and we have been stripped thoroughly, absolutely, totally of any sense of of direction, guidance, and it's easy for us to pick up somebody else's methodology. And our leaders have abandoned. This man who you mentioned was in Imam Muhammad's classes, and he's abandoned what he was taught. Let's be clear, man. If you're talking about brotherhood, the first thing a brother does if he has a beef with another brother is he steps to the man. Even in the street, that's how it goes, man. Hey, man, meet me in the playground at 4 o'clock. We got to straighten this thing out. Let alone, Lord, have mercy, you a Muslim? And you ignore the best from amongst you? What is that about? The ghost of the plantation. That's what it's about. No one can argue, and I'll beat this horse to death, brother. No one can argue the insight as it relates to the understanding that Allah blessed our Imam with. No one has a better grasp of his language, his perceptions, and his direction for our people better than Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. They won't argue that. So what's the beef? Men come to one another. You were part of this, Imam Terenzo. There was an open invitation in this state for leaders to come to Orlando, Florida for a conference of leaders in the African-American community. Our Imam indicated to the host that he would like to come. Their response was, no, don't you come. You a punk. What kind of Muslim, let alone man, are you to take the greatest mind in your midst right now and deny an invitation when you made an open invitation? This is the kind of manhood that we're confronted with. Brother, you know that right now I'm in public schools, and I've been in public schools all over the country for the past 35 years. And I have never seen the African-American male in this weak position that he's in right now. We are in the worst condition since the peculiar institution of chattel slavery because we don't tell each other the truth. We hiding behind religion. We hiding behind our women. We hiding behind the hurt that was instilled upon us by the white man, and we're not standing on truth. And the Honorable Elijah Mohammed, a forerunner to Deen al-Islam here in America, cleaned up, stood up, and made men out of the so-called American Negro. That is a blessed position that he was in. Yes, he had the wrong perception of Deen al-Islam in its totality, but he also, and I'm a witness, as the Nation of Islam evolved, he evolved. And the closer he became, closer to the end of his administration, he became a first follower of his son, Imam W. Deen Mohammed, Wallace D. Muhammad, W.D. Muhammad, who called the Adhan in America. He called the Adhan in America. So, Brother Imam, you've done a great job. Get out the way. We got things to do. How do you do that to your leader, man? It's the ghost of the plantation. That's how a nigga can do that to his leader.
I think that Imam Abdulmalik pointed out in the clip is that this outside influence that influences so many of these leadership as local imams to go from masjid to masjid, teaching, but denouncing leadership. And this is what this individual has done here, and the imam is pointing it out, is that you're saying that there's a new archetype of African American leadership that has to be revived. And the point being is that that's not the case. We have leadership. The leadership is Imam W.D. Mohammed. It's being succeeded presently, and we testify to that. But what tends to happen is that the more and more of these outside influences in the Islamic world, in these other schools of thinking, what they're trying to produce is an array of teachers and teachings that come up with outdated ideals of fiqh and all these other things. And this individual himself has traveled all around the country and the world being recruited by these outside influences. I think last year, recently, we've seen reports of them over in Israel, praying and wailing at the Wailing Wall.
With a yarmulke on.
Him and a few other folks doing this at a time where the insensitivity of a genocide is taking place for Muslims. So, Professor, I wanted to ask the question once again, what is this influence to want to sit up, be on TikTok, and just want to teach and teach and teach, but really do not want to be a leader? We have a leader that is succeeding Imam W.D. Mohammed. That is rejected, and we're flourished in the ideal in the Muslim world to produce sheikhs and alims and folks that get their information and have it wrong and have turned away from the leader. I mean, that's the issue as I see it.
We were told to stay home. Imam Muhammad said, stay home. When he first became the leader, he said, put your books away for a while and listen to me.
Yes.
And he systematically, carefully engaged the intellect of the members of the Lost Foundation of Islam and evolved us into a clearer understanding of the Quran and the traditions of Muhammad the Prophet, prayers and peace be upon the Prophet, and a methodology for how we are to engage America as Muslim American citizens and open the door for progress for what we represent, of people who were robbed, thoroughly robbed of the knowledge of themselves and now hold the Quran high. They should endear in their hearts the one that turned them to the book and gave them guidance and direction from the book and a methodology as to how to employ that in America.
But the question
you don't hear these people speak to holding to the rope given by the leader other than Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. And the question, as it relates to being influenced by outside sources, I'm going to go to the hair, Hair. Brother Imam Wahid,
Yes.
you
yes,
know,
sir.
you old enough to know that we used to wear process, put chemicals in our hair to straighten our hair. Then we came to the afro. Then we came to the jerry curl. Then we come to braids instilled in our hair. Our whole process of culture and understanding goes outside of ourselves, and that includes the African American Muslim taking on a foreign dress, a foreign mentality, a foreign understanding, and speaking as though it belongs to him. Our people have been confused historically in America and do not have faith and confidence in indigenous leadership. So it's easy to be influenced by an outside, not source, but an outside mentality that wants something particular from us to advance their issue at the expense of our issue. And this is our history historically, brother. The Honorable Elijah Mohammed, after Mr. Farad left, he had to start brand new in building the Nation of Islam. And in that process, he made sure that his chosen son by the founder learned Quranic Arabic. And when he passed, the son became the leader of that movement and evolved us into what we know as Deen al-Islam. And in his private quarters, he had a young mind that he trained and developed and shaped for the future of our community. Don't tell me that Imam Muhammad never made a leader. Any people never appointed a leader. Any people with any sense, brother, even the ants in the ground know about leadership. The bees in the trees know about leadership. The Twa people in the jungles of the Congo know about leadership. All people have succession in leadership. Why would we be any different in a society that spends billions of dollars to make sure a nigger stays in check? That's your history, mister.
Well, listen, I want to ask the question, and this is a very pointed question, and I want us to just stay focused on this here, because I think that you would have the wisdom to share with us tonight that if Imam W. Deen Mohammed was living right now, and you have, well, it wouldn't even happen up under him, but you've got folks that will go to Israel, to the Wailing Wall, and disrespect the sensitivities of African American Muslims and Palestinians at the time who are experiencing genocide.
Yes,
I just want to lay this out. I
Yes,
went
sir.
to Hajj. I went to Hajj. And one of the highlights of Hajj for me was going to the Masjid of Qiblatain, the two Qiblatains, direction of Jerusalem.
Yes, sir.
And then when Prophet Muhammad got the revelation from Allah, you turn
Yes.
an about face, put your back to Jerusalem, and you face Masjid al-Haram, right?
Yes.
What Muslim do you know goes to the Wailing Wall, you understand, and makes prayers at it in front of the whole world, right? And have the claim that they're from Imam W. Deen Mohammed's community and group, and that they're representing some special type of mosque that is called the National Mosque. Shouldn't these people have to say to us what this was all about? Shouldn't we demand accountability for this? Because it's this type of teaching that the Imam said Sunday, that they're taking us away through these type of teachings right here, and saying that the leadership of Imam W.D. Mohammed is done and it needs to be revived. These are serious issues from these archetype type of folks and people. And what I'm trying to get us to really zero and focus in tonight is that the danger of these folks putting these things out and not having any pushback, you understand, from us, it's dangerous just to let that go. So my question, yes, my question is, shouldn't these people be questioned?
Yes, sir.
About these things that they're putting out and making it to where they're expressing that we don't need leaders like Imam W.D. Mohammed anymore. We need more teachers. This is an outside influence that is coming in, letting us, trying to lead us off of that path right there. And the whole premise of it is that we don't follow the succession of Imam W.D. Mohammed with our leader, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed.
We were a pin, brother. And the pin is our flag, our community flag, and the Palestinian flag, to show that we are in concert and strengthening support for an oppressed people. The only picture that you have or video that you have of Imam W.D. Mohammed visiting Jerusalem was he meeting with Yasser Arafat and meeting with the people and sitting and singing with Palestinian children. Ain't no picture of him at the Wailing Wall, brother. That was our leadership. And if you indicate that you are following that leadership, then your behavior should be commensurate with the leader who established the leadership. And the idea of a nation's mosque, brother, that is in our history, temple number 4, the first temple purchased by the Honorable Elijah Mohammed in the Nation of Islam. And when Imam W.D. Mohammed became the leader of the community of Islam in the West, the whole notion of nation was minimized and community was enhanced. And then the facility was named Masjid Muhammad. How dare you come behind the leader and incorporate a name called the nation's mosque? What nation? Whose mosque? These questions need to be answered. Yes.
Yes.
And to be more specific, Brother Imam, we are the only group publicly asking these questions and demanding an answer, and there's crickets behind it.
Who would pay for this, Professor, to send imams to have an appearance with Jewish leaders at a Wailing Wall? Who would fund something like this here? What is the strategy behind it? Why do these folks can go over there and come back and don't have to report this out to the community or anything else, but will turn around and try to disqualify Imam W.D. Muhammad's special student from succeeding this leadership, you understand, and leading our community aright to have the respect in the Muslim world. These are the type of things that when they come up like this here, there should be an outrage about it. And I would say that if there's a disagreement of it, then let us go in a room somewhere and have this discussion, you understand, about the succession of Imam W.D. Muhammad's leadership and this outside influence that is on us as a community now, where folks are bragging that they're going for this city, they're going to that city, and they're teaching and they're doing this here. This is not the way of Imam W.D. Muhammad. There's a lot of folks that came up under Imam W.D. Muhammad. These folks want to be teachers. They don't want to be leaders. Our guided tradition is established that there has to be a leader. There has to be one leader at one time with one focus. And this is the thing that has made us great as a people, darlings around the world, and establish us as an international stalwart. For folks to break those ranks, and they're allowed to do that, and no one questions it. I'm quite sure we're not the only ones that have those questions. I'm quite sure other folks have had those questions too. Maybe they're a little afraid to raise it, but we're going to raise it on the Bilalian Voices, and we would like an answer from them. So the listening audience, if you know why we were over in Israel at the Wailing Wall.
We wasn't there.
With the Jewish community. It was us.
We wasn't there.
Well, I'm just saying, if that's the case, we're bringing this up on Bilalian Voices, you understand, to be discussed and to get some answers for it. I think we have a right to do that.
Brother, there are so many important issues that have affected since the passing of Imam W.D. Muhammad, that has taken away from our strength, dignity, and independence in America. No one in 1619 until 1975, no one came for us. And the first country that recognized the sovereign nation of the United States of America was Morocco. So they knew we were here. And we have been struggling and praying to the creator of the heavens and the earth for a sense of dignity and independence. And everyone ain't coming this way, brother, but the questions need to be raised, and especially raised in the name of the leader that called the Adhan in America and that the world called America's Imam.
Yes.
So if Imam W.D. Muhammad was recognized, using a logic, as the leader of Muslims here in the West, and America is the most powerful nation in the world, then he was a leader of Muslims in the world. And his methodology needs to be succeeded. Not only we follow that methodology, people all over the world have succession for their leader. The Queen of England died, the son became the successor. Germany has an election every 4 years. England, Nigeria, all these countries have leadership, and they also have religious leadership. The vicar, the pope, the head priest, everybody has leadership, but we don't need leaders. That's the ghost of the plantation that snuck into our consciousness at the hands of the enemy of man. So we have to continue to raise the conscious thinking of our people to ask these serious questions and get some answers. We can't answer them. We can ask the question. And in doing so, it takes the mud away from the eyes of the sleeping so we can see clearer. Because we have been completely, see, there's another issue. Imam Hanif, you old enough to remember when we used to be called spooks by the white man.
Yes.
All spirit and no substance. Outside people understand that the American Negro is a very spiritual inclined individual or group. So they appeal to the weakness in the nature that was formed on the plantation by the slave master, and appeal to our spiritual nature and turn us back into spooks. So influences are endemic in our community and are affecting the behavior of this particular mindset based on the historic mentality that has been placed in their thinking, and that has been taken advantage of by outside influences. When we were operating under the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, we were under his protection and guidance, being blessed by Allah to keep us focused on our direction. Since his passing, the average one of us have lost that sensitivity and have fallen into the trap of the usurper who wants to take advantage of our nature and turn us back into spooks. So these questions ain't being asked, brother.
Right.
Logical questions, not disrespectful questions, questions that require an answer based on our history as a group of people, based on our culture as an ethnic group in America.
Let me ask you this, Professor, as we prepare to wind down this episode. In the clip of Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed giving commentary on does the Muslim African-American tradition need to be revived, he spoke of a shared responsibility. So I'm asking today, for those that's listening to this program tonight, what is our obligation? Those of us that's listening, hearing this clarity, hearing this truth, what is our obligation in support of Imam W. Deen Mohammed's leadership, his influence stand amongst and visible among the people?
Brother Imam, I would like to put a caveat to what you just asked and return back to the concept of we must first be brothers. Stop lying.
There you go.
Stop being disrespectful. Recognize the best minds from amongst us and support that mind, and we will get the blessing that we deserve as it relates to our evolution as a people in this society and the role that we are to play as it relates to the reviving of human dignity in the world.
You couldn't have said
Stop
that
lying.
no better, Professor. That's
Be a
right.
man and tell the truth and stop selling yourself out for nothing.
And
A few pieces of silver or just recognition in the public eye. Be a man and follow the leader. As Imam Muhammad pointed out, he said, bite your lip until it bleeds and stand behind the leader.
And he also said this, Professor. He said, Allah will show us which one to support, who we should support.
That's clear right now.
Yes. Imam Hanif, do you have any closing comments, questions?
Well, once again, but Professor has made it very, very clear. There's a difference between a teacher and a leader. And this outside influence that is trying to flood our community with these teachers, that's just not going to work for us. Our guided tradition is guided based upon a leader. We were lost and we were found by a leader. And to advance our aims and our goals and our influence, you have to have leadership. You have to have a leader. So this flying around and everyone comes in and has a ideal of what Islam or progress for the African American is going to look like, we can't have that. There's too many teachers, man, and that's what the damn problem is.
Professor Professor Wali Shabazz, you have any last comments?
Follow the leader.
Praise be to Allah.
This ain't rocket science, man.
That's right.
The planet follows the sun. The sun is moving in the Milky Way. The Milky Way is moving towards the great attractor. Everything in God's creation is attracting and moving and following a methodology. You cannot be independent in God's creation and be successful. You must follow the tradition that has manifested for success for our people and for all other human beings, following guidance established in the natural order.
Thank you, Professor Wali Shabazz, for being with us tonight.
Praise be to Allah.
For another episode of Bilalian Voices in the Tradition of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. We would like to conclude now with some announcements. This Sunday, December 7th, join us for our first Sunday address in the Tradition of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. It will be delivered by his partner and successor, Muslim American leader, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. You can go to his YouTube channel, EAM Speaks, to view the first Sunday address in the Tradition of Imam W. Deen Mohammed this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. The theme for each and every first Sunday address is researching our faith and supporting business life in our community. Our annual Savior's Day event will take place on February the 15th, Sunday, February the 15th, 2026, at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. For more information, you can go to SaveYoursDay.com. And again, viewing audience, we thank you for joining us for another episode. We will be back, God willing, next Thursday. In conclusion, we would like to end with the prayer of purification and purpose from Imam W. Deen Mohammed. O Allah, we cannot manage this life for ourselves, not without you. Please make our life what you would want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow us to act on our own. Help us to act only in obedience to you. We hear you, we obey you, and we look to you for forgiveness, our Lord. And to you is our destination. Ameen.